Thank you for the kind introduction. I think one reason I attend these programs is to hear a little more about me. Anyhow, I think Madras Chamber is extremely happy to be the institutional partner of the panel discussion for transition towards clean energy and digitalization today. And I would like to join Mr. Piyush Kaushik, Vice President, EU Chambers, in extending a warm welcome to our chief guest, Sir Sivamayanathan. ரொம்ப நன்றி இங்கே வந்ததுக்கு. Honorable Minister of Environment, Climatic Change and Youth Welfare and Sports Development, Government of Tamil Nadu. Dr. K. Balaraman, Director General, National Institute of Wind Energy, and of course, Renu Shong, yourself, and all the panelists. I think I'm going to have a very interesting panel discussion. I think we're all going to look forward to it, like Bala Venkatkoti Ramachallapan, Radhakrishnan Ramakrishnan, Unnikrishnan, and Mr. Subramaniam, Shaji John, and Sridhara, and of course, Dr. Surana is going to be the moderator. And see, we are extremely happy to collaborate with EU Chamber because I think a lot of people don't know. We actually started the first MOU in 1993. And I'm very happy to state that our president, who was there at the MCCI, at that time, he is Mr. N. Srinivasan, has kindly consented to be present here. And despite this, but I think that's very, very nice of him to be here. And, actually we are very, very positive that post-COVID, whatever is happening, we will be able to create a lot of win-win programs between EU chambers and also MCCI in the near future. The second reason for my extreme happiness, I think I'm really, really a passionate person as far as the sustainability, because I think for us it is the DNA of this chamber. We always work towards sustainability in most of the government areas also, and we've been talking about it, working towards it. And I think it is extremely important that for the economic development, it has to be not at the cost of environmental sustainability. And I think today we are talking about it much more than what we used to talk about in the past. The Madras Chamber may not be new to many of you, but definitely I like to talk a little bit because we were established in 1836. So we are almost 186-year-old. And I think probably we will be one of the oldest along with Bombay Chamber. I think we had a difference about 1 week between our birth dates. So, and it has been extremely an integral part of the Tamil Nadu policies, and that's the most important aspect, that many of the Tamil Nadu policy makers from the past and the present, we have been working extremely closely with them. And just before I come to that, I wanted to actually tell you that how eager we were to talk about environmental friendliness. In the 150th year of a celebration, we started to sensitize people. We actually organized a boat ride in Kuvam. And interestingly, that time it was possible to have a boat ride in Kuvam. So I think we expect that to come back very soon, with, I think, the kind of work being done by the Tamil Nadu government. I know a lot of efforts in being done to clean up a lot of areas which can be made much more habitable, usable, and enjoyable for the public. The other thing is, in 175th year, we actually created a Sustainable Chennai Forum, SCF, actually on 9th of November 2011 on the occasion of the World Habitat Day celebrations. The aim of the basic forum was to advocate the sustainable development, sustainability as far as Chennai is concerned, and also to ensure that areas like energy, water, waste management, and transportation, urban greening is given trust. And we will be continuing this because we have our own expert groups working. We have 14 expert groups who have been working with us and in different areas, and they also work very closely with the government. I just want to share that with you because Honorable Minister is also there, that we happen to meet CM and also make a very clear presentation on the need for what the need to be for the new airport. And one of the areas we specified was also whatever we have to do has to be sustainable, environmentally sustainable development. And that it was pretty appreciated when we talked about it. And we also work closely with the Tamil Nadu State Planning Commission in most of these projects. So I think these are the two things I want to just place it in front of you because we do work closely with the government. we have been discussing on carbon neutrality, sustainable practice in management, and whenever we talk about the new ESG program, we plan to create an ESG network. We talked about it a couple of times. Rasudi is there nodding their head. And we are going to create an ESG network, not an ESG which is thrust by people outside the country, but the ESG created by the need of the people understanding how beneficial it is. So there are two different focuses. So we said we need to tell people how ESG is going to help themselves to make a better living and better profits. End of the day, people don't realize ESG also can give you better profits. So I think that's the way we are really looking at pushing ESG. And we have been associated with UN Habitat. Even I don't know, I didn't realize later, I told Saraswati, I'm a director in UN Habitat even on my own. So I never realized it till I joined MCCA that there has been a partnership going on, because, but it's pretty vast. Then we are also looking forward to making Chennai as a global city. And that's a big discussion going on. We said, one of the reasons we really talked about is, when we talk about sustainable new airport, why not that be a Changi of India, South India? Why should we go to Singapore for changing our, I mean, that's a question we really, but he said, why we gave an example of Changi, it is also well done on sustainability. So that is the reason we pointed it out. And we also talked about moving net zero city, and said whenever you plan a new, let us say, smart city, I think it should be really a net zero city. I would like to add also that we have activities in all these 13 expert committees, and many of the expert committees, when they start working, they really focus on balancing sustainability with respect to economy. Otherwise, we really, the reason why I'm saying it is, we talk about climate change. We talk about climate change often. For me, the most important thing is that I work very closely with the agriculture. In the national agriculture field, I work extremely closely, and we know that we are planning to double the exports from 50 billion to 100 billion by 2030, only on agricultural export. But I think the biggest question is, are we really looking at the most important aspect, like water conservation? Are we measuring, one of the questions we really asked is, are we measuring the use of water and linking the productivity of the crop to the how much water is put in? We don't do it at all. That's the biggest problem. And unless you measure something. So the question is, if I take 1 gallon of water, if I'm doing 20 kgs of crop, can I make it 40 kgs, 50 kgs? How do I do it? So that is the only way we can conserve water, because one is you can collect water, second is you have to use the water correctly. So we said one of the way to do this is actually create that measurement. And I think some work is now being done at the central level also to create that kind of a measurement. The second question we are coming up with is, can we ensure that everything what the farmer uses, can it be input can be reduced? I mean, when you reduce the input of fertilizer, pesticide, you're also actually indirectly helping the environment and also the soil preservation. One of the biggest problems, challenges we find is everything is measured on how much power is put per hectare. What we are now recommending is, don't look at how much power is put per hectare. Per kilowatt put, are you able to do a better job? Otherwise, that generally is, we have been using 2.7 kilowatts, internationally it's at 4 kilowatts, so we should go to 4 kilowatts. The question is, do you need it at all? Because the modern technology doesn't require that kind of power. So I think we need to really start looking at things differently. The last thing is, a very interesting thing, which I just want to share one typical interesting example, which I think can be an interesting example for India. See, there is a company which creates what we call as a pipe, which is basically a membrane. It is, you actually sink it down and then you flow the water through it. And the water doesn't go to the earth till it senses the root needs water. See, when the interesting thing is, I know how many people know this, when the tree or a root needs the water, it actually gives electrical signals. So based on the electrical signal, the membrane releases the water. So just imagine, you are preserving water underground, it is no evaporative losses, and you are not just flooding it, and it is based on, you draw the water based on the need of the tree or need of the crop. We are going to do this experiment in a big way in our own farm to make it. There's another discussion we are having with the Agricultural Ministry also. If this is successful, we are really talking about a very different ball game in water conservation. So this is one area. before I really come to end of my speech, I have a small request because I have the environment minister sitting here and அது என்னமோ மனசில் பட்டு சொல்லி தான் தீரணும், வேறு வழி கிடையாது. So the question, I think one thing I'm requesting, and I think it's a genuine request from our side is, see, we talk about solar, we talk about wind power. And I think there is a need for Tamil Nadu to use that more than the coal power. I know there is a lot of discussion going on because the cost of production actually is low. And our own people think that once they do that, they will end up with more losses. But I think these are two different ball games. So unless we really start using this power and also decide to buy back power, sir, I think that too can change the scenario in a big way in Tamil Nadu. Because people, industrialists are willing to put that. But if you can't sell it back, doesn't really make much of a sense. So my own genuine request is, because we are pushing this in the Planning Commission also, my request is from environment itself, we can really talk about it. I think it will be good for the government, good for the, and then we can also start focusing, reducing the distribution loss, because the cost of buying power is only 3.5, 4 rupees. But the distribution cost is 5 rupees. So I think that is one area I think we definitely need to look at. And the second thing, which is a very, very genuine request, I have come from the national agriculture scenario, where I represent government of India, it's many areas, is it's good to give free power to the farmers, but I think let us measure the power what we are giving them. Because if you measure the power, we at least know where it is being used. Otherwise, today what happens is, any power given to free of cost, there is a tendency it gets misused. So there's one more request, because again this is related to environment. It makes a lot of sense. And one of the things that's been suggested is, even if you charge a small money to them, but give it back on a DBT, directly back to them. The advantage is you have a measurable system. What is measured gets monitored. What is monitored has efficiency. So these are the two requests. We have been talking about it in other areas also. I thought it will be good to tell you, you being the environment minister, I'm sorry if I have exceeded the limit of talking to you about it, but I think it is going to be good for the state and good for the country. Thanks a lot, and once again welcome you, sir, and welcome all the colleagues and friends here. Thank you.